Hey guys, I wanted to do a video on this exact topic and I'll post it right in this video. And it was an absolute perfect question, right? So the question came from my top 3 tips to get jacked and lean video. And I think if I give it a little bit longer of an explanation, I think this will make sense, right? So in that video, I made it short. I can post it here. I'll add the link to it. But essentially, I gave 3 different reasons on why I got jacked and lean at age 40, right? So one of them was consistently doing the exact same thing over and over again. Number 2 was write everything in your workout journal, keeping track of all your lifts and everything you're doing on that day to day, right? And then number 3 was just sticking to a routine every single day, not changing the routine, not going around and doing different workouts, right? That you kind of see on YouTube. And number 3 is the reason why this gentleman asked this question, right? So let me give some full context on this. So the reason why I say to stick to one routine is because what I used to do in the past is I would work out. Let's just talk about triceps, right? I would do 2 to 3 exercises on triceps, and I would start getting to a point where, right, I would kind of feel like maybe I'm not progressing, right? Because I had a short mindset, right? I would think in 3 to 4 weeks of time, and I realized that, oh, I'm not progressing as much as I should, right? But the main issue was I was not actually writing down any of my lifts. I was not writing down how many pounds I was using the week before. I wouldn't be able to tell you if I did 50 pounds 10 times, 11 times, 16 times. I have no clue, right? And also, how many times have you guys gone to the gym and you use your favorite tricep exercise machine, right? Let's use the cable pull downs, right? And you notice that someone is on it, right? So you go to another machine that's the same cable pull down, but it has different amount of pulleys, right? Well, the different amount of pulleys will give you a different amount of force. So meaning 50 pounds on this machine is not going to mean 50 pounds on the other one. So what do? You put 50 pounds on and you're like, oh man, I can do this 22 times, 23 times, right? So you start going through the motion because you're thinking this will help me, right? So you're doing it 20 times, 22 times, 23 times, whatever the volume is. And you realize at the end of that set, you just did 50 pounds 23 times. And really, you did not stimulate your muscle at all. All you did is you got a giant pump. Your muscle now is more fatigued than it was before. And you got nothing out of that workout, right? So then you do a second set, you do a third set, and you're not really sure what exactly weight you're supposed to use because on that other machine, you know exactly what that weight is. And this is where it's so important to stick to the same routine and try to actually write down what machine you did it on, right? So my main focus is I do 2 sets. The first set, I go heavy as I possibly can from a rep range from 6 to 12. Once I get to 12 reps on most exercises, some exercises it's 10, some is 15, but let's just pick a general number of 12, right? I would say for triceps and curls, those type of smaller muscles, I think you should stick to that 12 range. And once you get to 12, you bump up the weight, right? But in my first set, I always go heavy. So I try to do something that I can go from 6 reps all the way up to 12. And then in my second set, I usually go about 10 to 15 pounds down, and I try to go as many reps as I possibly can. And so what that does for me and where it comes in where you actually do the same exact routine, I am writing down in my journal that on week 1, I did 50 pounds 8 times. On week 2, because I work out my muscles only once a week, right? So I do arms on Fridays and that's it. I do the Mike Mentzer approach, which is I do chest and back on Mondays, I do legs on Wednesdays, and I do arms on Fridays, right? I work out 3 times a week, lifting heavy, and that's my workout routine, right? So on week 1, if I did 50 pounds of curls, right, with a straight easy bar curl bar, I write that down and let's just say I did it 7 times, right? Well, next week I go in and all of a sudden I notice I did it 8 times, right? Because I wrote it down in my journal. And this is where it's so important, guys, because I can't remember from a month ago how many times I did this curl, right? But if I have a journal, if I have something that I'm writing down all my reps and all my sets, then it makes it so easy to go back and you can see this routine is working, right? In the past, when I didn't write anything down or I didn't track anything, I had no idea it was working or not. So what would I do? I would keep constantly changing things. I would keep constantly changing things and I never progressed The only way you will grow muscle is if you progressive overload, meaning if you can do 50 pounds 6 times, next week you can do 7 and go up and up and up and up. Once you get to 12, you bump up the weight to 60 pounds. You have now added muscle. It might not look like it. You might not be able to see it in the mirror 100% right away, but you have 1000% added muscle to your frame now because you are going up in reps and you're going up in weight. And what do you do when happens when you get to 60 pounds? You most likely would drop back down to 7 or 8 reps, depending on what exercise it is. And then you do the same thing over and over again, right? You go up to 8 reps, you go up to 9 reps, you go up to 10 reps. And if you keep writing those down and you see those numbers go up, right? And the reps go up and the pounds go up as far as the weight on the whatever machine you're working on or exercise, that means you are gaining muscle. And that is what I mean by sticking to a routine. And the only way you will know if you are actually doing this correctly is if you see those numbers go up. And once you see those numbers go up, you have to be a complete fucking idiot to say, I'm going to change something. Why would you change it? It's working. You're improving, right? And that's all we want in the gym. I'm not saying you're going to become Mr. Olympia after my workouts and this idea. But for an average guy, I am 40 years old. Look at me. I look absolutely amazing. And for the average guy, this is what they want to look like. They want to have the Ryan Reynolds, the Brad Pitt type of physique that they had in their movies, right? And that's what I have. And so if you can just stick to it and you can continuously write down the reps and the sets, that is the number one key factor that will make sure that you are progressing. And that is what I mean by stick to routine. In the past, I just always changed things around. I had no idea if I did 50 pounds last week, 60. I could approximately remember the weight, but if you put a gun to my head and asked me how many reps I did, I had no idea, right? And also another thing, guys, I would try to stick to 2 sets. Go to absolute failure on both the sets. I'm telling you, 3 sets is overrated and you're just fatiguing yourself more and more. The thing about me is when I go to the gym, I don't get these crazy pumps anymore. And I don't get these crazy soreness days after. I can go work out with my arms the next day if I want to. But that is the whole point. That means my body has not taken a beating to the point where it's going to take me multiple days of consistent, perfect routines to stick to, and then also to completely recover from that, right? So I don't beat up my body after the workouts, right? I used to do that. I used to do 3 sets. I would do triceps by the end of the, one of the days. I would probably do about 50 to 60 reps. And it's like, why? Now I do about 16 and 17. And look at this. Like, I have the best triceps I've ever had in my life, right? Look at my biceps. Like, this is all just from 3 exercises, and each time doing around maybe 6 to 12 reps, somewhere around there. So the most I'm probably doing is around maybe 30 reps on each muscle, right? So that is the key. The key is to write everything down. The key is to go back in your notes and being able to see that you've progressively overloaded and you've added on reps and you've added on weight to this exercise, and just stick to it. You have to give it some time. But if you continuously do this and recover well, you will see every 2 weeks, it will go up a rep or 2, sometimes even 3 reps you go up, right? And you will see in the 4th week, all of a sudden, next thing you know, you're adding 10 pounds to that exercise, which is exactly what you want. And that's exactly how you keep coming back. And that's how exactly you keep actually gaining muscle. And that's how you get jacked and you continue to get lean and you build muscle. So I hope this helps, guys. I appreciate the question. It was a perfect question, right? But in short, it's hard to explain all this. So I hope it makes sense. Let me know if you have any comments or questions. And remember, if you do the work, you will reap the rewards.